What is going on, everybody? And in this video, we're providing you a state of the market and stock picks for August 19th, 2022. So that sounds like something you're interested in. Consider subscribing, as we do provide daily and weekly updates to get you prepared for the day in the week ahead in this glorious market. So first off, I'd like to get started and say I apologize for last night. I did try to record this video and it didn't go through. There was some connectivity issues. I have a lot of personal things going on as well. So trying to juggle all that stuff, but I mean, it's no excuse nonetheless. Video didn't go out. I tried to do audio video on Twitter. So I do highly suggest that you follow me at Hemi137. If you don't already, that way you can get the morning, not only the morning strategy, but get some of those updates that I do have, because I did drop one of those. I dropped a little voice message yesterday, just kind of what my thoughts were about the market. Currently, right now, there's not really much going on, and so that's why I really also didn't do anything, because the market is pretty flat. Right now, the market needs news. The market is driven off of news, and considering the UK just came in with a high inflation rate, it's kind of yesterday. I didn't do the video yesterday. So the UK came in at 10% inflation yesterday, which hasn't been seen in 40 years. Again, overseas is doing horrible. Today, the dollar rocketed back up to 107 on news from Fed Bullard. Now, Bullard came out earlier today and said they're leaning towards a 75-point basis move hike in September, and says it's premature to think about rate cuts. Inflation is too high, and it's too soon to say that inflation surge has peaked. Now, that's something I've said, and something that you need to be mindful of, right? Even if we came down on this next report, it wouldn't matter, because what can happen with inflation is on the following report in October, it could skyrocket again. The EU is having a massive amount of problems. Even Germany is, right, they only have like 2.5 months of gas reserved. And so, being said, you have to keep these things in mind, because what's going on is there's a lot of stuff going on in between the lines. And something I try to talk and I try to teach about is you can't go off of headline news. One thing you need to understand is that it doesn't matter if it's priced in, because the algorithms go based off of headline news, right? They read the headline news. They don't read all the details about what's going on. Algorithms don't care, right? They're programmatically programmed to look for keywords, and then act accordingly to what they believe is going to happen in the market. And that's what happens. This is where you get these crazy spikes. And right now, it really isn't no good news. There really isn't no bad news. But people are being cautious at this point. We've had a big rally. Earnings is winding down. Now what do we go from here? Again, we're still getting a lot of negative information. Bullard coming on today and saying that. Now we're kind of really just looking at like 2-3 weeks before that even happens again. So being said, the biggest issue, I mean, we can run through the charts a million times, but technical wise, right, I think even without bad news, we're going to pull back because just technical wise, it's something that happens. And I'm looking again roughly around that 4,200 mark for support. I did break, looking for support. I wouldn't actually be surprised if we kind of just floated this range from 4,200 again to 4,300 until we get news on the Fed or core CPI, which would in turn change this. Again, we've had multiple Fed members have been screaming from the rooftops over the past 2 to 3 weeks. And if you're not paying attention to the Fed normally doesn't do that, right? They try to play on the cautious side and not get everybody in a panic. But when the market starts to just run absurdly high for no reason on hopium that everything is over and done with, then they start screaming from the rooftops until they're put in a predicament in which they choose their words very wisely, and they become more reserved. But right now, the market is again, it's in no man's land until we get new data, new news. So that's currently where we're at. Again, for me to be really bullish to see a reversal on this thing needs a break. Break above the 4350 in my mind, and you still got you're going to have every psychological number on the way up. I'm not saying that it can't rip back down and fall. One piece of news can change any kind of rally that we get. So watching that again, really expecting some sort of pullback. It's very slow. Again, a lot of misinformation. The market doesn't know what to do. The algos don't know what to do. So it's kind of just sitting in limbo. Again, the dollar's sitting at 107. Bitcoin, again, it can't break essentially that 2,500 mark. And again, I think it hasn't even really hit any tough resistance yet. I think it could pop all over to 30K, and it still hasn't done yet. But this technical breakout looks like we're going to be selling here tomorrow into the weekend on Bitcoin. So we'll have to see how that goes. Technical break, that's how it works, at least 75. So you're looking roughly around a 20K by this weekend. If not lower, right? Perhaps we get some kind of information that could come out and then sink this thing even more. So watching that. Oil is still floating around 90. Something you keep on note. So always keep oil, the dollar, bonds. I don't really talk about bonds too much. Again, bonds in my mind, and the way it's been the best definition I've found on bonds is that unless bonds are extremely volatile, it really doesn't care what the bonds do. Unless there's volatility within bonds, that's going to cause bigger moves in the market. And so that's what you need to be watching, not if it goes up or down, because it can run in parallel. It can run opposite of one another. Those are things you need to keep in mind. So just realize that the bonds really don't care. It's, again, the volatility is what matters. If you see a big move in the bonds, you're guaranteed to see a big move in the market one way or another. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at some of our industries. Tesla still can't break the 942. So watching that. I think this also too is going to play a big range back down to the 850. So it could potentially buy the dip and play this range. I might actually try to do that. Until we get a break. For Tesla to really start selling, it needs to break that back down below 800. And if we do get more rate increases, I can see this potentially breaking this back down and try to revisit some of these 630 marks at that point. But we'll have to see. Again, Tesla is very strong, so you're going to have to need some really negative news to break that. I think if you come in another 75-point move, could potentially happen, but we have to see. Everything's a wait and see. BA, again, everything looks the same. When everything looks the same, that means there's going to be a big move soon. And when the market has fear, everything looks the same. Just be mindful of that. I don't care what they all say. Again, I highly advise you come up with your own opinion. But when the market all looks the same, when every industry looks the same, there's going to be a big move to the downside because there's too much fear in the market. And especially because the Fed have come out and strictly said that the Fed can drive us into recession, and they're aware of that. When it came in the notes yesterday, so just be mindful of that as well. Banks look strong, but again, no momentum. Again, everything is waiting on data. I would reach peak, and we don't really know if we're going to hit peak. All right, like it could pump, but who knows if it's going to come back down. Consolidation looks really strong, but even though it does look strong, you have to keep in mind you've had this massive rip already. From the bottom of Goldman Sachs up to currently where it's sitting, the peak, it's already a 28% move. How much more of a move do you think this is really going to go without any kind of like significant pullback? These are the things you have to be mindful of and watch. You can't just go parabolic. You go parabolic, you're really asking for trouble. You might as well buy puts if it wants to go 12 days straight green, because it's going to come down crashing pretty fast. That's pretty much what I got. I don't really want to go over too much. Again, it really just depends on the markets. You can go off of energy, end phase. If end phase can break the 308, if we can get a strong candle over the 308, I think it could potentially run for new breakouts. But again, everything looks the same. Everything is paused until we get new information. It stinks, and it's hard to make videos when you got nothing new to talk about that's not moving the market, but that's the kind of market we're currently in. So on that note, I'm going to leave it here. I appreciate your time. Appreciate you joining me. Go ahead and hit that like button because you like sticking around. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.